city or the city of Athens is using data trading and the Pistis platform. So Ilya, over to you.
Yes, so let me share my screen. Hello from my side. Let's say present myself. My name is Elia Christadoni. In this call, also my colleague Dimitra will be joining in a few minutes. Both of us, we are managing the EU sector of the AM, that it is actually the City of Athens IT company. So we come from an organization that it is a private on one side and for profit, but representing the City of Athens in the majority of the European projects that we participate. And
Sorry, Ilya, just to interrupt you, we see your presentation in the present mode.
Okay, how can I change that?
I think there's an option somewhere to flip the screens.
The screens. I'm not so sure how to do that. Let me try again. How about now?
Yeah, there we go.
That's better. Okay, thank you. So within this Smart Cities Living Lab today, we will share with you the participation of our company in the PISTIS project, and it is actually the first data sharing project that we had in Athens. Just a few introduction about us. So DAEM, it is an IT company that it is owned by the municipality of Athens. So our main shareholder and our main client, let's say, is the City of Athens. We provide software and development and engineering for the city, IT infrastructure and maintenance of hardware, as well as first-level technical support, and the development of several products for the municipality. The majority of this work, let's say, of this development is done either in-house within DAEM, our company, or with our IT department, that it is the biggest part of our company, but also through cooperation with other vendors. In the meantime, we also have our sector that refers to research and innovation. So we participate in European projects, mainly as use cases or testing cases for the City of Athens, because we can onboard the city in various kind of projects. At the moment, we have 16 ongoing Horizon projects. And within PISTIS, we were, let's say, invited to participate in this new trend at the submission, let's say, phase on exchanging data among different partners and see the benefits of data spaces. So we participated in PISTIS together with other Greek partners in one of the 3 demonstration hubs. We were part of demonstration hub number 1, where we cooperated with the Airport of Athens, Goldair, ICCS, that it is the National and Technical University of Athens, and OASA, that it is, let's say, the national company that is in charge of public transport. So we were involved in all the 5 use cases of the demonstrator hub number 1, but mainly in the last 2, the one that has to do with public transportation planning and support in Athens, and the one that we were more in charge was the insights for city commercial businesses. So here, the, let's say, tricky part about Athens and generally in cities is that in Greece, cities are, let's say, public organizations that they are not entitled to create profit. And despite the fact that they handle a lot of data that has to do with the citizens and different kind of services that they are offered, this data, of course, they cannot it's not very easy to share due to different kind of legislation, compliance, and let's say agreements that you need to do. But generally, as a city in Greece, you do not you cannot have profit for the data that you hold, and of course you cannot share the data. This is, let's say, the tricky part for us. So what we did for PISTIS is that we shared an anonymized registry that each city in Athens holds that has to do with the city commercial businesses. So on different kind of shops that they are operating within Athens, they need to have in the different districts of Athens, they need to have a special permission from the city, and this is actually the data set that we shared with PISTIS. So this was our motivation, as we are, let's say, the digital branch for the city of Athens, and the main aim is actually either to promote new services for citizens and visitors, and generally to improve the city life and the experience. So by participating in PISTIS, we wanted to explore the possibilities of data sharing for smart cities, to explore also the participation in a marketplace that could facilitate for us networking and the creation of local ecosystem. This is due to the fact that, especially in Greece, we have increased difficulty sometimes in cooperating with other organizations. There are many different organizations that are responsible for different parts of the city, not only the municipality. And this was a benefit for us to cooperate with them in, let's say, this test case. So for us, from our side, we provided available and relevant data for Athens. One of them was the registry of businesses, as I mentioned before. Of course, it was anonymized. This is a registry that is actually, I could say, a historical one. It's not so much in real-time mode because the businesses, so the different kind of shops do not open and close every day, let's say. But this registry includes the type of businesses, if it is a shop that has to do with food, let's say, production of food, or it's another kind of market shop, the area where it is located, the municipal district where it belongs, because due to the fact that Athens is a vast city, the municipality is divided in 7 big districts. Each of them has, let's say, a sub-administration and the address of the shop. And also we were able to provide different kind of other data, the ones that they are open through GIS, because the city maintains a portal with open GIS datasets, such as the administrative boundaries of the 7 districts, other points of interest that could be of interest, like parks, the stops, for example, of the public transport is also part of our GIS portal, etc. The main objective here, so for our participation, is to explore and participate in data and openness, and explore how data exchange can be done within organizations that they are active within Athens, and cooperate with them. More specifically, we were aiming to analyze the incoming and outgoing flows of visitors, as we were also participating in collaboration with the Athens airport. And our main aim with PISTIS is to explore whether all this data exchange and metadata that could be produced could develop new services for mobility purposes within Athens, offer facilitation to local businesses and shops in terms of expected visitors data. So we could, for example, inform shop owners on the expected visitors that they are planned to be to arriving or departing from Athens, and in that way we could improve and increase the business activities for shop owners. As you can understand, this benefit is more or less intangible and indirect for the city. It refers to citizens that actually own a shop within the municipality. The municipality itself would not, in that case, participate in any profit. So our main fields of target was on tourism, urban mobility, and entrepreneurship. And generally, let's say the general vision was to contribute to urban development and planning, and introduce this innovative aspect within the ecosystem of Athens. So one part of the PISTIS project was the PISTIS marketplace. In more details, what we did in our use case and demonstrator. So you can see here the different data exchanges that we had within the PISTIS marketplace. As a provider, let's say that I provided the data to OASA, so to the Agency of Public Transport, on the geolocation of businesses within Athens, and also then provided to the PISTIS marketplace other kind of open data that I mentioned before. As a buyer, we bought, let's say, from the PISTIS marketplace, data from OASA on the historical data of buses, on the buses geolocation and event logs, for example, buses arriving at bus stops, reaching at terminals, etc. Also, we bought data from OASA that had to do with the subway tickets, not only on the bus, but also on the metro, so the ticket validations for all stations in Attica. Attica is the larger region, for those who are not Greek, where Athens is located. It includes also other municipalities, apart from others that they are neighboring. Also, as a data buyer, we bought data from Goldair, specifically on the arriving and departing passengers in the Athens airport and the origin of arriving airplanes. And we bought also data from AIA on the number of luggages arriving to Athens airport and, of course, then arriving to the city of Athens. So the benefits for exploring and testing the PISTIS marketplace are mainly focused on the potentiality of data commercialization and the financial value of data that we could also check. Also, we could have secure interactions because the PISTIS marketplace provides a data space for secure data exchange where you can have agreements among the existing partners. And then we explored also the possibility to further develop tools for data exploitation. For this part, we collaborated more closely with ICCS, that it is part of the National and Technical University of Athens, where they extracted, let's say, this data from the marketplace and developed a tool with testing tool. It's not with real-time data at the moment, but it has different kind of functionalities that I will mention later on, especially for the data exchange between the public transport and Athens. The plan with PISTIS Marketplace is to overcome, of course, data silos and explore financial and business benefits. I have to say that especially in Greece, organizations do exchange data internally, but not so easily exchange data externally with other organizations. That's why we are referring to data silos. So we tested as part of our PISTIS role, the data factory that it was developed for them for evaluation. There were different kinds of features on the data sets that it was possible to explore, like uploading, registering, and sharing options that you could define. Our colleague Sotiris Kousouris later on will share more details and insights how this can be done in the PISTIS marketplace, but there are also other kind of functions that you can explore as market insights for your datasets, user analytics, and changing the requirements of the transactions, for example, on purchase and payment, that they are all done under supporting terms and conditions. Of course, you can have an area for notification as a user organization. So the tools that were actually developed for Athens, as I mentioned before, by the National and Technical University, so from extracting the data exchange among Athens especially, and the public transport, but also the airport and Goldair. I will mention here three of those tools that were developed. One has to do with the analytics on the visitors. So this is a dashboard where we can have visual analytics in order to support city authorities and other urban planners. So where we can check the patterns of the visitors that are to be arriving in Athens. Two functionalities here are included. The first one has to do with the expected distribution of visitors across the different districts, so the 7 districts of Athens. So we can observe how the visitors' demand is spatially distributed within Athens. Of course, we can have filtering options on different months of the year or travel of origin, or to explore the visitor presence over time and the different kinds of travel scenarios. This could be of benefit of shop owners, and also identify the districts among, let's say, the map of Greece where higher visitor pressure is expected to be arriving. This could be used and exploited for targeted planning measures. For example, we can have adjustment in the mobility service by mobility operators. This can change the management of a public space or other tourism-related infrastructure in those specific areas. Another functionality has to do with the expected number of baggage items. We saw here we saw here an opportunity maybe for shop owners that could, let's say, explore this data in order to add more services to their customers that have to do on baggage storing or handling. Here we could see the expected number of baggage for a selected month, for a specific month. So this is also an indicator of daily passenger arrivals. This is a short screenshot from our tool. As I mentioned, now it does not have actually real-time data. That's why we are not showing this in a live demo. Another tool that it was developed has to do with the monthly travel time variability on the bus routes. So we have 2 bus routes that they are operating from the national transport, and they are connecting the airport with the city of Athens. For these 2 bus routes, we have data from OASA on the location of the bus stops, which is something that is openly available, and also there is an analysis on the time required for all the different bus segments within these 2 routes. We can have statistics on average times, and the National Technical University has developed a coefficient variability for each of these segments in order, let's say, to map the reliability of each segment and identify different delays. According to this analysis on the delays, we could have proposed measures. For example, if we see that there are many delays in different segments, then urban planners can dedicate specific bus lanes or do a planning on congested corridors. For example, we could expand the bus lanes or introduce new bus lanes if they are not available at the moment. There can be also some interventions on the bus stop designs, since there are a lot of delays in specific segments, on the way that visitors on board and exit the buses. We could also have reinforcement on the bus lanes, so that we could be more strict on private vehicles that stop or move within the bus lanes, and other parking restrictions. Here you can see also a small screenshot of our tool for this functionality. And the final one has to do with urban amenities and metro station analytics. So what we did here, the National Technical University in collaboration with VATS and OASA, we exploited the data from ticket validations of the metros and the data from the city of Athens. And we had statistics on the entering and exiting flows, statistics on origin and destinations, and from there we can exploit export analytics on how busy each station is, and which hours of the day is most busy. So the stores that they are around the neighborhood can optimize their operating hours, or maybe have better commercial activity through this analytics tool. So what we did is that we classified the passenger traffic patterns in 4 different categories. This can also be expanding in other categories or in more research if possible. So for example, some stations, they were classified as residential because it was a high inflow in the morning hours and high outflow in the afternoon hours, which means that it is used, let's say, by residents in the morning to go to work, and in the afternoon they exited to arrive in their neighborhood. Some other classifications were the employment of office-related stations, where people were exiting a lot during the morning hours and entering in order to leave, let's say, from the station in the afternoon. So this is a station that is mostly connected with an area where many people actually work. And in that case, we can also have different other kinds of classifications, like leisure stations, commercial market stations, etc. This is also one part of our tool and the classification that we did. So all of these outputs and any progress that we did through the PISTIS project, together also with our partners. Of course, we shared it with different kinds of stakeholders. And one final activity was to organize a living lab, which was online, together with OASA, in order, let's say, to have feedback on the local ecosystem and also some feedback regarding our metrics and KPIs that we had within the project. The point was to showcase and demonstrate the tools and validate them and the metrics, and also receive feedback. We had participants that were invited and participated, just like in the Living Lab that we have today. They were from different kinds of fields. So they were mobility operators from Taxis Association, Touristic Transfers, Micro-Mobility Services of Athens. We had part of touristic businesses like hotels and restaurants, other shop owners. Of course, we had the stakeholders from the city administration and city official. This is part of them. And transport authorities that they were invited mainly by OASA. Some feedback that we received here and I can share with you from this Living Lab was on the perception if all this work done through PISTIS could leverage actually the businesses of tourism or of similar fields. Of course, within Athens, we had a high feedback on positive, let's say, answer to this. We asked also in what ways our participants thought this could be done and leverage, let's say, the business activity. The majority of them answered either to design new services or to leverage existing services for their customers. And finally, this was a KPI that we have within PISTIS in order to validate whether the shop owners of Athens can have an increased profit on their businesses through this exchange of data, up to 2%. So that we also had a question on the perception, especially targeting the shop owners, where the majority of them mentioned that they think that this can have an increase over 2% in their profit if that tool could be, let's say, active within the city. The benefits and impact that we see from PISTIS, we have a special distribution, let's say, of the existing businesses per municipal district. This is a valuable tool to have visualized in the map. Of course, we have all the analysis of incoming and outgoing visitors in Athens in different kinds of timeframes, weekdays, months, or seasonal. We have special analysis of the visitors per neighborhood and municipal districts, the efficiency of airport passes per month, and their segments that is directed to the businesses in order to have better customer service. The expected load of luggages, this is especially targeted for businesses of tourism and storage, and the flight analysis per country of origin and destination. This could be a use of different businesses that they are related in the field of tourism. The impact for them and for Athens was, of course, the cooperation and liaison with city agencies and also with other organizations such as transport authorities and the airport. This is the first project that we have where we cooperate both on transport authorities, airport, Goldair, and other big, let's say, agencies that they are active in the region of Athens. This was a very huge benefit for us, and also to test the data exchange with them. For us, this is a basis for further collaboration with these partners, and of course to explore data that they are available for the city, that it is all of these are data that show how city life, that can show how city life is going, the state of the art, and how it can be improved. And not all of these data are actually under the municipality, so it is of very much benefit to explore what is it available for Athens. As a best practice, we also had another project, FAME, under the same call, where there were two projects working in parallel. There we collaborated with Novoville, in order to exploit the data on control parking system or that Novoville has developed for Athens, and correlate this with behavioral data on mobility and for the development of personalized services. So you can see here that cities can explore different kinds of data exchange. Of course, those two were both FAME and PISTIS research projects, so at a research level. So our main impact here that we can see on such services could be to boost the mobility conditions and options for the visitors in Athens through the airport data, to promote the profit and to have better services by the Athens shop, so by the Athens shop owners targeting the different passengers by exploiting the passenger analysis from OASAT data. So shop owners can adjust their operation and offer products and services according to the public needs. And as a further, let's say, final impact, we could see that we can have a promotion on the business profit in different kind of fields, and maybe also even boost startup businesses for some citizens of Athens that might have an idea on entrepreneurship or starting a new business. And that it is from my side.
Thank you very much, Ilya. I don't know if you covered everything or if Dimitra still has something to add because I'm not sure.
I covered everything because
Okay, perfect.
joined a bit later, so it is okay.
All right, super. Thank you. In that case, then we can move to Sotiris. So I think Ilya, you gave us a really good overview of why increased data sharing is important and how it's helped you and others. But Pistis is kind of the backbone. The marketplace has enabled this. So Sotiris can give us an overview of what Pistis is and how it works, in case there are other kind of cities or other entities that would be interested in using it to help with data sharing with external kind of companies or other organizations that you work with. So over to you, Sotiris.
Okay, thank you very much, James, and thank you, Ilya, also for the intro on that. I hope you can see my screen, full screen.
Yeah, I see the meeting and now the presentation. Perfect.
Okay, good. So I'm going to talk a little bit of what Pistis capabilities are as a platform. I'm not going to do a live demo of the platform because it will take us ages, but I will try to, briefly describe what we have built in the project. And I will take the, let's say, the ball from Ilya because he talked about the smart city paradox that in cities and also SMEs that operate within the cities have a huge, let's say, volume of data, and this data is quite valuable. However, most of this data never leaves the silo. This is not something that is only characteristic for the smart city ecosystem, but in any ecosystem in the world, be it manufacturing, be it aviation. So what we are trying to do in Pistis is actually to develop data space, a kind of a data space that provides the necessary tools and the necessary methods that will persuade stakeholders of these ecosystems to onboard this data exchange and trading wave. So as Ilya said, there is a trust deficit between the different parties that collaborate already, but they're often very hesitant to share data with each other because they don't know how this data would be used, who will use the data. There are different implications and compliance requirements that need to be met, and it's hard to do so. There is no clear pathway to value. So even though there are data spaces now nowadays that let's say accelerate this data sharing intentions of different stakeholders, still there are no tangible incentives and clear value of why you would be there. The most obvious one is monetizing on the data. This is something that in cases of municipalities, as we heard, it's not something that can be done because European municipalities cannot actually sell the data, but they can actually share the data, not sell them. However, there is not a clear way of what is the value behind that. So people and organizations are hesitant to onboard data spaces. And there is the problem of fragmentation. And the data spaces in Europe, as they're shaping up at this moment, are more or less sectorial. So there is not easy ways to, let's say, interoperate and cross domains and cross sectors in order to find data that could actually turn, services into real added value services, which actually require the engagement of partners from different sectors and domains. So we heard before from Daem the use cases that they're collaborating with airport, with ground handlers, with public transport operators. So mobility, city operators, aviation operators, these are operators that should come together in one place to serve data and trade. So what we're trying to do in PISTIS is to provide a platform that actually tries to lower the barriers for stakeholders to, engage in data sharing and data trading. And actually, we are offering different tools that have to do with ingesting and preparing the data, being able to collect data from various sources that are, available within a city, different database where things are stored. So most of municipalities don't have data lakes, and we're trying to bring stuff together. Then we're trying to assess and improve the quality of the data, performing different operations on data management in order to enrich the data with metadata, clean the data, and improve the overall quality of them so that they can be used and reused by other participants. Anonymization and security of the data is another hot topic, and we are also offering methods for that to anonymize data so that they can be shared without personal identifiers, to check on GDPR compliance on specific data sets. That is a requirement. If you would like to reserve the data, you cannot reserve something that people have not given you consent, or that include personal identifiers. We are working with methods to ensure data security and cryptography so that whatever is on such a platform is actually not accessible to stakeholders without having the right credentials. And then we're moving on towards making the stakeholders realize and estimate the value and probably the price of their dataset if they would like to monetize on that, and providing, of course, the marketplace, so the tool to trade these datasets with different methods, which I will refer to in a couple of slides. So essentially, we're working on data improvement and preparation, and then data sharing. And all this is governed and audited by different methods like smart contracts, like blockchains, where every operation on this data, every transaction of this data is logged so that all the participants can actually trust each other, meaning that there will be a tracked record of what has been done in the dataset, of how it has been used, how it has been traded, so that people can understand if the other parties, the counterparties, are respecting the terms of the licenses and the agreement they have signed when they did these transactions. PISTIS as a platform is not just a cloud-based infrastructure, but contains, let's say, two discrete parts. On one side, we have what we call the cloud platform. So this is the marketplace layer. Imagine it as a catalog. I will show it later, where description of data sets are provided, but not the real data sets. And this marketplace allows to expose these data sets using access control to the people that are, have the right to see the data. It provides facilities like market analytics, pricing dashboards in order for people to understand which data sets are traded and on what prices, what are the hot, let's say, data sets in such an environment. And actually is the infrastructure that is controlling all the transaction flow. Meaning, if you would like to buy a data set, or if you would like to conduct a transaction on a data set, then the cloud platform is, let's say, the infrastructure that is performing all these negotiations, the signing of the contracts, and it actually logs in blockchain nodes, the transactions that have happened. On the right-hand side of the picture, you see what we call here the data factories. So a data factory, and Ilya referred to that, is actually the infrastructure that is deployed and resides at the premises of each participant, of each organization that is sharing data over PISTIS or that is consuming data over PISTIS. So with this separation, what we are doing is that on the left-hand side, we have the cloud platform that has only the descriptions of the dataset, and on the right-hand side, we have infrastructure that hold the real data. And that is how we guarantee data sovereignty and data privacy, as no data is leaving the premises of, let's say, a stakeholder, of a participant in this ecosystem without having a contract. And even if there is a contract, the transactions that are happening from one actor to the other, let's say that Diem would like to buy data from an SME provider, or would like to sell data or share data for free to a sector operator, then this transaction will happen peer-to-peer without the data actually flowing through the cloud platform. The cloud platform is just the facilitator that initiates the transaction and logs the outcome of the transaction, but the data is flowing only between the parties that have agreed to take part in such a transaction. So each stakeholder that is onboarding such an ecosystem has its own, let's say, infrastructure, its own facility that resides in his premises or in cloud hosting that they choose of their choice and of their ownership. And no data is leaving actually, the boundaries of an organization without having a proper contract. So the ways to trade over the marketplace that we have built are four. Actually, you have the usual one-off purchase where you just buy a data set, a fixed data set actually with a specific license, and you can use it. Maybe resell it depending on the license terms and so on. But things like that are tracked on the platform so that the initial seller of the dataset can understand if you're respecting the license or not. The second option has to do with a subscription of the dataset. So this is actually something that is mostly accommodating datasets that are frequently updated, like monthly records, where somebody would like to have access, or it could be daily records, could be passenger records per day, and things that the buyer would like to have refreshed views in specific sequences. The third option which we are offering is that of data NFTs, which might not be that relevant for smart cities, but it's actually handing over the ownership of the full ownership of a dataset into another entity, so that the new entity now becomes the owner and can resell it. This is maybe much more relevant. We're talking about in industry. And the fourth option is what we call data investment plan. So this is the case where you have some data sets that you would like to hand over a part of the ownership to other entities in order to get back some revenues to continue, for example, extracting data for this ownership. So this is what we call the data investment plan, and it's the concept of providing a co-ownership in order to get back, the necessary funds to perform other operations that you would like to do. All those options are actually part of the way that you're publishing the data. So here I just have some screenshots of the platform. You can see in this screenshot one of the let's say wizards that we're using for publishing the data once you have it on your own data factories. I described before. You can describe your data set, but if you look at the bottom of the page, you see here, for example, that for these data sets, we're offering 3 different ways to monetize it. It could be one-off sale, it could be a subscription. If I click it, I would be able to specify also, when the subscription is renewed, or it could be an NFT of this of the ownership of this data set. I can specify a price, or I can, provide this for free. So we're not just talking about monetization; we're also talking about sharing of free data. And once I complete this this wizard, that it's not only about monetization, as you see on the top of this wizard, then you can also select the license, if it's going to be an open source license, or if it is going to be a proprietary license, and you can also select the access policy, so who can see this data set, maybe only Greek participants, or only people, or only organizations that are SMEs, whatever you choose. This data set is actually published on what we call the marketplace catalog. You can see here, okay, this is taken from a development instance of what we have, because I didn't want to expose the real data at the moment that we have in the platform. There is a catalog where you can actually see whatever is on the market at this point, and you can actually filter by different licenses, by different ways to buy the dataset, if the dataset has a price, or if it's for free, and you can find actually the dataset of interest. So for this screenshot, I have just selected, to showcase the category that have to do with transportation, and I got 29 datasets out of the marketplace when I did it. By doing that, you can actually search what you would like to do, and going into one of the datasets, you can actually see the descriptions, what the data seller has provided, and on the top right-hand side, you can see also the price of the dataset. Okay, in this case, it was a free dataset. Otherwise, it would have a price. By clicking the Get button, what is being done is actually that the money that you have on the PISTIS platform. So we have a facility that allows you to, let's say, purchase coins by connecting, your bank account or your credit card. The money that you're having is flowing to the seller of this dataset, and the dataset is actually automatically moved from copied in this case, and moved from the data factory of the seller to the data factory of the buyer, so he can then actually work on the data on the platform or off the platform, as he can download the data or use it directly through an API for his application. So why we believe that this is something that is really essential for cities and SMEs and the whole smart city ecosystem? It's because we are trying, as I said before, to lower the barriers and provide different guarantees that have to do with security and with trust. We discussed about data sovereignty, we discussed about encryption of data, and we have different ways to anonymize data set to check against GDPR compliance and actually, let's say, transform data sets into assets that can be easily and unproblematically shared or traded over a platform without having also legal issues in this process. And we are building trust by employing different technologies that have to do with smart contracting, with blockchain, where you have all the transactions logged and verifiable, and also by offering different ways so that buyers can understand the quality of the data they're buying and can have actually, a view on the reputation and on the operations that have been performed on the data, so that they are much, let's say, more reassured that what they're gonna get or what they're gonna buy is something that is of real value, not just a data set that has been uploaded there and contains garbage that might not be of use. So my last slide has some bullet points on why, we believe that it's essential for this ecosystem to utilize not just Pistis, but data sharing platforms in general. So the idea is that for cities and public agencies, um, this is a new method for sharing their data responsibly or monetizing on the data if this is allowed in their constitutional, documents. However, they keep full control over the data. As we said, the data never leaves their premises unless they need to. They can discover what the value of the data is. This is really important because, as we said, enterprises have data, but in most cases they don't expose it, but they don't even know what the real value of that is. And of course, by providing this infrastructure as a package, we can lower the barriers for them to participate. On the other side, if we're talking about SMEs and innovators as data consumers, though they can be also data owners and data providers. The idea is to actually allow them to find data they can trust, data that has been quality assessed, data that has been verified against GDPR compliance or other types of compliance. If you would like to, include other tools, they can access proprietary data that they didn't have at their disposal and can easily find it and can build better services faster without needing to excavate and talk with municipalities and all these actors to understand if data is available and what the data is about. And essentially they can pay only for what fits their needs. So we talked about the different monetization methods. So if somebody is selling data, then there can be things like micropayments, pay per day, pay per use, or pay for specific slices of the data. Endless possibilities here in order to satisfy, let's say, the needs of such entities. So that's it from my side. I'm sorry I took a lot of time here, but I hope it was a bit enlightening of what Pistis is about.
Thank you
So
very
back to
much,
you, John.
Sotiris. Yeah, indeed, it was a really good look at what Pistis is and what it does, and also why it's an interesting platform both for kind of data consumers and data providers. And I would just say that if you do want more information on Pistis, I encourage you to check our website. There's a lot of resources there about it, and also other videos and explanations of the platform in a bit more detail as well. And I think we'll be organizing another deep dive later. So if you are interested in that, just follow Pistis, and I'm sure you'll find information for that. So now we pass over to Paolo to talk about another example of municipalities using data. I would just like to mention, Paolo, before I pass over to you, because we're running a little bit behind. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to jot them in the chat and we can look at them afterwards directly. But if there isn't enough time, we can then follow up after the Living Lab finishes as well. So,
Yeah,
Paolo, over to you.
yeah. Can you see me?
Yeah, that's all good.
I will be very quick because I'm not a pilot of the PISTIS project. Even if I participated in a previous project where also Sotiris was involved, that was dealing with data set and a big data platform where we piloted some collection of data coming from the mobility of the citizen. Anyway, my main objective of the presentation is to see which was the experience we did in Prato, the city of Prato, building the data lake of the city. And I was the former manager of the IT manager of the city and the digital transformation officer. I got retired at the beginning of last December. So I was the person that designed this project and that carried out the work till my retirement. So just to say what Prato is, Prato is a city that is located there, and this is the profile in very, very short term about the city. And what we can say is that we were mainly interested in building the big data to create a lake for the city in order to help to support the policy of the city more than exchanging data with others. And how this data lakes project was inside a broader project that was the smart city project of Prato that started in the 2016, and through working groups, smart living lab we organize in the city, and this plan is updated every year. Also last year we approved the updating of the project of the plan, but we have to think to the smart city plan more than a really a plan. It's a sort of photo of the situation of the city in terms of smart city projects, because many actors are implementing projects that can be classified as smart city project. And as you can see here, in the plan, it is reported the situation about all these projects that are located here, that illustrated in these slides. Prato is running a lot of projects. Some of them are European projects, some other are funded by the city or by other institutions. And as you can see, in some particular aspect, for example, the mobility, the energy, and so on, there is a specific plan that is mandatory also by law. And so it is included in the smart city project plan, but it has a plan and a project that is specific. Each of the project has its own websites, and if you are interested, you can have a look on that, but this is not the scope of my presentation. One of the plan and we have inside the smart city plan is the digital agenda, and we as a IT system, IT department, were involved mainly in this agenda because we identified a lot of actions in terms of digitization of the administration. Of course, among them, we have the plan to implement a data lake for the city. In fact, this is the more or less a short list of the main project actions in the agenda, the digital agenda. One of them was the big data platform. How we build the big data platform? We started with a smart living lab, so a living lab where we invited not only official of the city, but also representative of all the other company, public company and private company that operate in the city territory, in order to identify which kind of data they have that could be shared and for which purpose. And so during the workshop we organized in December 2018, we produced a document with a very long list of possible data sources to be manipulated altogether to achieve better policies for the city, which is the starting point. I want to concentrate in the issues we found in the process. Of course, in 2019, we signed an agreement among all the participants in the workshop, so in order to oblige people, the various entities to share the data they own. It was the first step. Then we selected a platform for the big data, the big data lake that has been built by the regional government of Tuscany. So we avoided to build a dedicated big data lake. And the reason of the reuse of the platform is because the region is in charge of a lot of important services. For example, the mobility, the public transportation, or for example, the water or tourism is managed by the region. So they own the data set, a very important data set related to these services and this issue of the territory. And so having a unique platform can facilitate the sharing of data sets. We identified at least 25 data sources to be integrated in the platform. And we start with training, of course. We participate in project. One of these was the Data Vault project I mentioned before. And we started integration of the source. And we discovered a lot of problems, of issues we were obliged to solve. Of course, it's easy to share the data set that were already integrated in the regional platform, but it was very, very complicated to go ahead in the integration of the other source. After the very first 5 examples of data, we encountered a lot of problems. They are listed here. Of course, we have no problem with platform because platforms are largely available to manage big data. But the problem is, for example, that the city no longer, since a long time, don't create directly in the offices the plans for the city, because every time it has to produce a plan. Some example is illustrated in the previous slides. They normally put in charge a specialized agency outside that produce the plan. So of course, also the usage of a big data platform by offices is sometimes a problem, because the offices are not normally the subject that operate that work on the data. They put the work in the hands of people outside, just fixing which is the objective of the plan that has to be signed, that to be produced. So lack of expertise inside. And the main problem, and this is PISTIS that can help to solve this issue, is the fact that many of the data sets that are very interesting and important for policies are not longer owned by the city. In Italy, public services, water, gas, transportation, and many others have been privatized in the past, and now they are managed by big public company that are owned by many administration at the same time. So they operate like private company on a market. In many cases, with the regulations that are the same regulation of the private company that can operate in the same fields. This is making these things very complicated, because we have practically a loss of ownership of data by the city. Even if the law is obliging the subject to produce and to make available data to the city, there are many difficulties because they operate in the market, in a private market. They don't want to reveal to the administration data that can be important for their business, for competition. And so they don't provide the rough data. They normally provide only already elaborated data. And sometimes we have a problem because the level, the granularity of data they produce, they are able to provide. They are not the one we would like to have in order to make the data processing we would like to do. So not of data, but aggregated data. And sometimes it's difficult to have historic real-time data, but they just release the situation at a certain period of time. So they are historical data. The last, not less important, but the most important one, the format. We discovered that a plethora of format, lack of API. Many of these data are produced in form of files. Of course, also if we look at the quality of the data in the open data logic, they are normally just CVS file, Excel file, or things like that, or database file that needs to be elaborated before be integrated in the big data platform. And of course, we have lack of ontologies. So the semantic of this data not always are matching in order to facilitate the integration. Last point, lack of political support. The political deal in the city is changing continuously, and in time they are looking for different priorities. It was a period where the political deal of the city was focusing on data, but the things are changing continuously. We started from smart city, big data, digital twins. Now, wise city? That is a new concept of smart city. So it's difficult to have a politician that is able to sustain a project like the big data one for more than one mandate. And what I see is that PISTIS platform can help very much to solve some of these projects, of this problem, these issues. For example, it will be interesting to see the platform integrated with the big data platform we have at the regional level, because one of the problems we have is to make the contract, the agreement for exchanging data that needs to be carried out on papers on the very traditional way. Or we have no directory of all the data set we have, because we have a directory of the open data, but not all these data are open data, and they are not included in the portal. So it is very interesting. I would be interested also to see better how the platform is working, because this could be applied to solve many of these, some of the important issues that are listed in this slide. So this is my presentation, and of course, I'm very interested to be informed about the progresses of the PISTIS project, because I see it's very important.
Thank you very much, Paolo. So, and now we can have a very short time. If there's any questions or comments from the audience, you can raise your hand in the bottom menu there if you've got a question or a comment. I've seen some in the chat already, but I think they're answered regarding the kind of testing of the platform. We will organize a way to do this with Sotiris, so we'll be reaching out to you all after this lab is finished. We've got a couple, so maybe Stella, if you wanted to go first. I think you can unmute yourself now.
Mm-hmm.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, sure, Paolo.
The question concerning the oh, sorry, there is an echo. Okay. The feeling of the platform, the PISTIS platform, I mean, by the very big, I can say, number of open data sets that are available around the world. Many of our platforms are integrated with the regional platform, the government platform, and the European platform. So is that because in the analysis of data, the needs of open data set, it's also important, not only the personal data. And so is there any idea of making some automatic filling of the platform with this portal that contain a lot of data set, thousands of data set, in order to facilitate the search of data set to be used in analysis?
Yes, hi, Paolo. I can answer that. Yes, in the consortium, we have one so-called data factory, which is the open data factory, where we have built a connector that is actually consuming data sets from the European open data portal. And that's because Fraunhofer is leading the PISTIS project, but it's also leading the European data portal implementation. So there is this link. Participants can search over PISTIS in order to get data from that portal. We have not enabled this connector to search everything in the open data portal for now, because this is just an experimentation facility. But the idea was also to utilize the open data portal to, to have data on the platform.
Okay, I think Stella.
Can you hear me now? Hello.
Yeah,
Okay, perfect.
Hi.
I would just like to stress on what my colleagues from DIAM already mentioned. Actually, the PISTIS marketplace enable us for the first time to exchange data. To exchange the data in a secure and trusted way, and to make value, additional value of our data sets. This is very important for us because I mean we have a lot of data that we own and we can provide to different operators. And of course, we seek a lot of different data sets in order to proceed with our transport planning processes and optimize our transport planning process. So the whole project, it was very important for us, and I think it enabled us to, especially with applications that they were developed on top, leveraging this data on top of the marketplace to optimize our processes.
Thank you, Stella. So another good endorsement of the Pistis platform there. I don't see any other comments or hands raised, so I think we can close the Living Lab here. As we mentioned, we'll be following up with some opportunities to learn more about the platform and test it. So keep an eye out for those. But for now, I'd just like to say thank you very much to all the presenters today. Thanks for sharing your experience with sharing data and the Pistis platform. And thanks to everyone for joining. And hope you all have a good day. So bye-bye.
Bye bye.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye.